Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. Okay, so basically from last few sessions when we started Spring Boot, right? We learned that Spring Boot making application development simple with the Spring Initializer and STS with the Spring starters. They made everything simple. When we create a Spring Boot application with the default starter, it provided. Yeah, when we use the default starter, it provided all the IOC dependencies, AOP, testing library, as well as what else given? AOP, IOC, test library, and logging. Default logging also has been provided, right? So for IOC, we have all the annotations that we can use, right? All the stereotype annotations given, beans, profile, right? Value to read property, and we saw property configuration something annotation also, right? And for logging, log back, log for j, sl for j, all the dip libraries by default provided. And we learned that the default log back file, when we add it using your log back file only, it considered where to log, how to log everything, how to generate backup also for logging, that we understand. When we add web dependency, web dependency we can use for REST and microservice based applications. By default, it will provide a dispatcher servlet configuration with URL pattern slash, and embedded Tomcat it will provide with server port number 8080, so that you can directly start web application development. Create your required input pages in static folder and your required backend classes in SRC, right? You can do front end to back end communication over there. That is what we have done in our examples also, right? We created simple SMS web and we did some CRUD operations, right? In last session here, we did CRUD operation just by keeping, yeah. Earlier, these files, these all files, we kept it into static. Yes, we have to use static folder until unless you add any templates engine, it will use static as a location for your input pages for redirection or for loading, like how you do in servlets or MVC. Here also you can use the static. How it is working in templates is, if I add one more dependency, which is a thymeleaf, I added front end library. It is okay. Thymeleaf is a front end library. Just a minute, please. Yeah, I unmuted everyone. You can. I muted everyone. Okay, you can unmute yourself if you. So this thymeleaf, one dependency I added. How can I add to the existing project? You can right click in STS. Okay, go to Spring option. Use this add starters. Here, if you search for web, right? If you search for web, template engines, Apache Marker, you must have heard about it, right? Mustache, thymeleaf. Okay. Long back, I used Apache Marker in struts, I believe. These are like your, if you remember JSTL tag library, which we developed in JSPs, similar to them. You can implement a tag library. I mean, you can use the tag library which are already implemented to make your application development simple or easy. So theme leaf I added. So that's where when I add theme leaf, the default location it is considering is templates location. The same CRUD operation, right, which I implemented, functioning from this folder. This is my student registration file with ID, name, email address, and with action reg. First, how I came till student registration HTML page. Whenever I load my application, the default action hits this controller. The default action is slash. When I load with the 9090 port number, as I have that port here, right? When I load with this port number, by default, it will hit this and it is redirecting the home student registration page. Yeah. So this home registration page, earlier it is part of static. Return page should be in static with no template in here. With the theme leaf, your return page can be in templates folder. It can be in templates folder, okay? So this is what we means I was telling you why it is not able to redirect. So now student registration page it will redirect. You will get this page. As soon as we submit this form, it generates this reg action. So in this reg action, using request parameter, getting all these parameters, you can use instead of request parameter HTTP subnet request also. If it is a Ajax based call, you can use a request body also. You can populate data directly into bean. We will see that one as well. And reading data here and calling service method from service calling DAO save method directly doing CRUD operation using correction. Okay, we'll make it in a different way later. Okay, so this is function, right? This is working. We can one more time check application getting started. Open a new window, localhost 9090. This is the page. So you can enter data, okay, ID. So basically, allowing user to enter ID here is not a good idea. Just keep it for time. So enter data, submit. So registration got success. And this is the success page which is redirecting. Directly post method as it cannot able to redirect, right? one more extra method we required. One redirect to view object we are creating and returning it. And here you can see this success page action we have and the error page action we have. A basic example, okay, with the template engine. Though I added template engine, I didn't use any templates code. If you want to see more, right, you can see this example, right, where we did complete CRUD operation using thymeleaf library. I'm running it. So this example running using thymeleaf. Okay, this is the first page, default page. How this default page created? Anyway, it is generated from Bootify, as you know. But let's see how this page is code is generated. Okay, in this application, I'll just walk through it. Okay, so the default action, go to controller, home controller I have. So as you know, default URL is slash. So when default action is slash, it is redirecting home slash index page. So immediately what we need to refer, you have to check if it is a redirect view, there should be another method. As this is simple return, immediately we need to check it under static if no template engine added. If template engine added, I need to check it in templates folder. So here if you observe, along with the web library, thymeleaf library added. So hopefully pages would be generated in target, not here, templates here. So the return value is slash home, home slash index. So inside home folder, this is the index folder which is giving you this output. So once you generated, if you want to remove this, basically this is Bootify generated, right? If you want to customize it, you can customize. On the welcome page, I don't want that welcome message. So here, this is the page which is included XML namespace, theme leaf tags, they are getting added here. Okay, theme leaf library and theme leaf layout library to get this layout style. And using theme leaf title, they are adding here home dot index dot headline via expression. If you see, using some hash expression and the square boxes, inside square box again flower brackets. So they are trying to read some properties here. So these properties it is fetching from this message dot properties file. All properties you can see here. To achieve the internationalization, they did this. Okay, all these messages titles are reading from this message properties file. How internationalization works is, when this page loaded for a English user, it show data from default messages file from here. All this, here we are showing home.index.headline. If you search for this key, you definitely find it in messages properties file. Home.index.headline. Welcome to your new app. You can customize this. Here I'll put welcome to RBU. So now this will be getting refreshed. Welcome to new app, whereas welcome to RBU. And this is generated from boot. I don't want. Your app is created with okay. So they are showing here headline and home.text. Something related to Bootify. I don't want. Yeah, your app is created with Bootify. Something showing here, right? I don't want it. So I can remove it. Or you can put your required stuff. I just removed it. Clear. Welcome to RBU. Swagger is available here. Swagger is just a documentation. We'll talk about it later. Okay. So if you see all REST related classes which I implemented, for them this documentation will generate. We need to talk about it more. Okay. Why this Swagger really required, what role it plays while especially developing microservice based or REST based applications. It plays a critical role. We talk about it and explore your entities. And one action given here, localhost RBU students. Okay, so this is the link slash RBU students is the action, and these are not simple traditional links. Everything configured using thymeleaf. If you observe here, including HTML with this thymeleaf extra library. Okay, so as soon as you click on this action slash RBU students, there should be an action for this one. So this is a code which is already existing. How I can search that action? Use Control H search option or else. Okay, this is more useful to you if you are working in any existing project. From UI we will understand what are all the actions. When I perform this click, something is executed in behind. If you want to understand about it, inspect this page, go to network options. Okay, go to network options, and when you click here it generates action status 200, and one action is generated is RBU student. You can see clearly http localhost slash RBU students. So now you need to do what? You need to copy that action. Okay, so that particular action you need to copy RBU students, and you need to search it in your application. Okay, quick search you need to do here, file search. Is there any action which is RBU students across my Java classes dot Java classes? Search. It did search and showing here something request mapping. This is what we required, right? It is there in RBU controller. If you click here, it will directly take you there. Request mapping RBU students. On class level they added it, which means it is applicable for all the methods. Common URL pattern. How many methods we have here? One is list method, one is add method, one is post method, which is again add. See, multiple methods under this action we have. You just collapse all and you can see what methods has been implemented. List, add, edit, delete. So check each method. This is the list method, get mapping using, which means when you submit this action, which by default generates get mapping only from this page. Anchor tag, what action it will generate? Get action only by default. Of course, anchor tags always perform get action only, no post. So I submitted it, it generates a get mapping. So obviously here you need to use get mapping annotation. And no URL pattern, not required. On class level, request mapping configured. Okay. What is this model? Nothing. Just to carry response data, they added it here. And what is the intention of this method is it wants to return all the students. So what is actually happening when I click here? It is listing all the students data here in a tabular format from the database. So when you submit this action, by default it is hitting this method. Is there any other get method we have? Yes, add. With add action, if there is any call, then this get mapping will execute. And with the same add action, if the method is post, it will execute this method. For same action, I can have multiple methods. One is get, one is post, one is put, one is delete. With the same name I can have. So under RBU students slash add, I have two methods again. One is get mapping and one is post mapping. If I use same get mapping with the same URL pattern, it is not allowed. It will go to ambiguity. Okay, confusion state. It will not function like that. Okay, now one more get mapping with action is different. Edit action. Okay, so when I use this list, what I am doing, using this model attribute and adding model dot add attribute. This is something like, if you remember, request dot set attribute in servlets, we carry data from backend to frontend using servlet object. It is looking similar to that. Using this model object, we are adding one key RBU student with this response data. So a service class with the find all method. So go to this implementation. If you see here, this RBU student service class with the private final and with one constructor given here. You can use auto wiring also. You can use auto wiring also. Auto wire. When you use auto wide, final is not allowed. What is the problem with auto wide and why they choose it? Basically, Sonar, when you use this variable like this, Sonar will suggest you to go with constructor dependency injection. For us, no much difference. Go with auto wired or go with this. In auto wired case, controller object will be created, then auto wiring will be happened. But when you go with this constructor based dependency injection, this class object will create after this service only if service is constructed fully, but it is not mandatory in auto wiring. If service object is created or not created, this object creation will not be stopped. But in case of constructor injection, until unless you pass this object, this constructor will not execute. If you don't have this object, forget about this object as well. Right? I have a dependency chain. Without this repository, what service will do? Without service, what controller will do? Nothing. They all need to be constructed well. Okay. So as Sonar, just okay. As Sonar suggests us to use private, constructors. This is the best way, so you will not see Sonar issue. Okay, during Sonar scan, okay, it will not create any issue. Okay, you can go with this way of dependency injection also. It will do auto wiring by default via constructor based dependency injection. Okay. Now this service we are calling here with the find all method. Use open implementation. So here find all method which is returning list of RBU student DTO objects which is having ID, name, email address and phone number. Okay. What we are doing, calling repository find all method short by ID. So you will not see any implementation here. Okay, RBU student repository. I am trying to open implementation. Is it? I'm seeing real. Yeah, actually this is default implementation, not by you, by framework. So always you open declaration. This is also not by you. So just click on this class and see what is there. Nothing, no implementation. This is what the beauty of JPA, Spring Data JPA. No code is here, but lot of CRUD operations we did. How that is possible, we will explain in Spring Data JPA. I have a repository class with 0 lines of code, but still I can able to manage find all, which are default methods helping me to get all the data which is related to this entity. Okay. Now when I return this model object, what I'm suggesting, RBU students slash list. Okay. One more list action it is generated. Okay, list method. This is returning RBU students slash list. This should be our output page, right? So I need to go to here. Yeah, RBU students is a folder. There we have a list page. Again, same story. Title for the page, something heading. How our model data iterating here, that is important to us. Something I'm expecting like a for loop here. I'm expecting like a for loop here to read my data. And here they are constructing table. If you see table, class, something table classes which are predefined they are using. This CSS library classes must be here in static. You can see app CSS, maybe from framework. Okay, so these all table strip must be added from thymeleaf library. So these classes, those are not Java classes. Okay, these all are CS classes which are constructing this table. Beautiful. Okay, now here coming to headers, th we are using tr table headers, scope column specifying. Again, labels here we are using RBU student ID dot label name dot label email dot label phone number dot label. You can find all of them here in your message properties file. ID, name, email, address, phone number. To get the data dynamically. I mean, even your keys also, headings also reading from properties file to achieve the internationalization. Okay, I will show you how we can achieve that. If I change the language here to Chinese, if I want to display Chinese, ID, name, email, phone, or Telugu, Hindi, whichever you want. You can create one more message properties file for that language. So by default, based on your browser language, it will read them. Okay, talking about the data, I return data in the form of model, right? With the key RBU students. This is the key. Consider this model object is like a map object. Even in model and view also I told. Model and view is combination of map and a view page. This is similar to your map object. I'm adding a key here with my value. You know, right? In map we can put anything. String as a key and value is your wish. Any object, list object, set object, again a map object, anything you put here under map. So now that map object is getting iterated here. Guys, am I audible? Yes.
Uh, y- yes, sir.
Okay. So here we need to iterate that data. If you see here, they are using th tag. Okay, th tag colon each using and your key given here RB students. This is your key. RB students is your key, which is you returned from the map. Yeah, this is the key. So I given that key in the for each. This is the for each loop. Imagine in Java. So this is the key. This key value I'm getting into this object. Students getting into one student object. And this object dot id, name, email, phone number I'm printing here using dollar sign. If it is from messages, I'm using hash sign. If it is under function, using dollar sign. Okay, no much difference. So obviously it will generate this TDs with this values. How many TDs or how many TRs? This TRs it will generate as many records you have here. If I have 10 records, 10 TRs. If I have 11 records, 11 TRs. If I have 2, 2 TRs. In each TR, it will bring your ID, name, email, phone number here and it will display. Along with them, one more TD is getting added for edit option. Okay, if you see, one more hyperlink is generated under this TD. One hyperlink and one form also. So in this hyperlink is RBU student slash edit and ID is appending here. And what is that ID? ID is equal to your ID. This ID. See how beautiful they mention here. So whatever ID you have, that ID by default will be added here. When you click on this anchor tag, where is this anchor tag? This is the one. Edit button created using a anchor tag. So it is looking like a button, but not a button. It is a anchor tag. Okay. So when you click on that, it will generate this action. First, how it is printing? See, your model object is iterating and displaying all the data here. Cool, right? Yeah. So it is displaying data here. And here we have one more button, create new RBU student. So this is a listing and one button also given here to create a new user. One anchor tag here, if you see anchor tag, RBU students add one action it is generating using this button name. You know right where to search this button name in messages. Create new RBU student. This is the button. So that is what it displayed here. So when you click it, it is generating one action. What is that action? When you click on it, it is generating RBU student add. Which method type it is? Always anchor tag refer to get method. Okay, so RBU student slash add. RBU student slash add. Where do we have this one? RBU students is here. This is the RBU students action. Under that add action. There are two add actions. One is post and one is get. As it is an anchor tag requested, it executes get map. Okay. So here under this add action, it is returning a add page, right? It is returning a add page. So obviously again it will go to your templates location. It returns this add.html. If you see this add.html, again one more page with the form this time. I have a form with a request URI. What is this request URI? This is add. This must be add only. Yeah. So the request URI is same. Maybe it is referring to the same request URI they mentioned to referring the same URL. Whatever is the request URL we have, when you click right, it is showing add right. Same URL. It is referring, telling same URL. I need same URL. I need same URL with the method type post this time. When this post method with the same URL will generate, when you click on this input type submit button, and here your field names are name, email address, phone number, and something it is applying required. I believe these are looking like your HTML5 validations. So when I click here, wherever we have required, it is telling us please provide value. Front end validation is performing here. Okay. If I provide some data here, it is getting added. No proper full validations for email, phone number. If you want extra validations, you need to add. Okay, maybe use some JavaScript and add that actions. So default actions we added required simple actions. I mean simple validations. Now when you enter data and submit here, which is generating same action, right? With the post method. So I submitted data, it got saved, and again it is displaying also. We will see how it is saving and again displaying. So your request this time it will go to your controller add method with the post. So data came here. Directly your data loaded into model attribute RBU student into this DTO object. In this DTO we have ID, name, email address, phone number, right? It is directly loading data into this. How it became possible? How it became possible? So because as we are following naming convention and telling this, we need to load it into RBU student object. There these parameter names are matching. Okay, so it is loading your data into directly object here, loading into this object. So I'm not using any request parameter or HTTP servlet request. Directly your data getting loaded into DTO. Fine. Once it loaded into DTO, I'm sending the DTO to the service class. Okay. So this is a different thing. Okay. If there is a error, it is asking to return bind result error. Means if you enter a invalid data, or if your front end keys may be not matching with this DTO, it is returning same page. The errors it will display. If no binding result errors, it is calling the service method create. Open implementation, sending your DTO to service create method. We are just converting DTO data into entity as we did this before also, right? So your data is converting into this form from DTO to entity. Usually in ORM we need entity instead of DTO. So DTO data getting still service. Under service we are converting from DTO to our actual entity. This is our entity. And here calling create method, converting into entity, calling repository save, and no implementation. Just default method I'm using, passing student object. Finally asking to give me ID. That's a game ID written. Okay, so your object will be created and it will be returned here. Nothing we are capturing, it's okay. Redirect attribute, just calling one more for redirection. Redirect attribute, add flash attribute, something added here. WebUtils message source, some message is adding. WebUtils get message, RBU student dot create success message we are reading from properties file. Using this WebUtils, it is reading this page. RB student created successfully. This message is getting. This message is getting from here. Okay, with this key. Anyway, you can explore more if you want to see, but that is what it is doing. And we are using redirect here again. In post mapping, we see before redirect class redirect view, right? Something. Instead, here it is using redirect colon also. Smart way it is recognizing. When we use redirect colon, usually right, post mapping will not return anything. So just using redirect colon are we student. So this action must be there for another method. So what is that another method? It is there on your class level, and the default action always hit this method. What this method will do? Fetch the fresh data. Once it inserts your data, it is redirecting this page with the fresh data. So again it is displaying all the records here with the fresh record as well. Same story happening for edit also. When you click edit, it is a hyperlink. How it is functioning? If I go to list page, yes, this is not too much important, but maybe you will get end-to-end scope right here. If you want to generate quickly and see, you can see, but yeah, as per me, this is not too much important. And edit action, we need edit action from list page. So this is the edit button, RBU/edit action with ID. So let's see what happening in the edit method. With ID, edit method will be triggered. This is path parameter. So reading it as a path variable, ID reading. And first what we are doing here, okay, sorry, uh, anchor tag, right? It will trigger get mapping with ID. So we are reading ID here and creating a model attribute RBU student, one object adding here RB student dot get. So whichever ID you submitted, that data we are adding into model object, and returning a page directly get mapping, returning a page RBU student edit page. So it will return this edit page. Under that edit page, we are just displaying model object data here. Okay, so this is a form it is generating, and directly it is adding your object to field data, whichever data you have from backend, right? That data it will load here. So that's the reason when you click edit, whichever data you have, that data it is displaying here. So on this display, it is not allowing ID to edit. ID is blocked, disable true. So this field is disabled, so you can't enter it, and the remaining fields it is allowing you to change. So Hyderabad to Bangalore if I change, and if I want to change mobile number, something. So here button name is edit RBU. Maybe you can use update RBU, something you can rename. So RBU students updated successfully. So your record got updated. So this is how it is working with edit. And delete action also they given here. When you click on delete action, okay. So when you update it, this call post mapping this time, okay, because that is a form. So under this post form again, it is loading all your data and calling this update method of student. It is updating your data and redirecting it same list page. When you apply delete, again go to list page, see this action form directly form RBU student slash delete with ID. So which ID is which is there in that current object. So this row ID is this one. So when you click on delete, it is giving one populate alert. So th data confirm message alert from the tag library only. Delete confirm message from your message properties file. So the same message it is displaying. Do you want to really delete this element? If I click OK, then delete it by generating this action. Just it is taking your ID to backend to this delete method, post mapping delete with your ID, and calling service delete method. It is obviously calls repository delete by ID, and it is deleting your data. And finally it is returning one success message. Again same list page with the success message. Data is gone. So this is how end-to-end CRUD operations being implemented. If you can go through this example from this method, right, you understand now how to read this and how these redirections happening, how that messages are loading. Okay, explore it one by one method so that you would comfortably able to use this thymeleaf also. Okay, so the maximum possibility of thymeleaf library they used here, so it is good example to explore to yourself as well. Okay, you can create or you can create using Bootify with your required entity, right, you can create it, or else okay later once we done with the Spring Data JPA you can start it. Okay, yeah. So yeah, so we understand how thymeleaf library also useful, and the conclusion is we can able to make web application, right, using Spring Boot. People usually use it for okay, basically we use it for simple REST implementations. But imagine I have a small startup, so there I don't want keep this microservices architecture. I don't want so many applications to maintain my students database or to accept registrations or not, you know queries. I want a simple web application and I want to deploy it into my Java server. Okay, so as this is a Spring Boot application, let's imagine this is a student management system. So it is providing me all the required data. So as a student, if I can provide you this form, only this form to students, they will come here and they will add their data. So as soon as I log into this page, I can able to see who all registered. Maybe I can add few more messages, inquiry description, blah blah blah, whatever I want. All the fields I will get here. I can see all the students info here, so that easily I can able to manage my students database. Quickly I generated, maybe hardly 5 minutes, right, to generate this we spent. And how I can deploy this, as this is a simple web application, came up with a built-in Tomcat. I need just Java. Wherever you want to deploy, you need simple Java there. Java runtime environment. Bus. Just export this application as a jar file. Okay. So this is RBUSMS. Once you build this application, right, go to run as Maven build options. We do clean install. I'm just skipping test cases. Okay, I don't want to run them. Maven build is started and it generated one target jar file. Here you can see. Finally, if you can observe your target, just refresh your target. Okay, you can see one jar file generated. What you can do, keep this jar file in whichever server you want. Consider I have a Linux machine, a separate machine. There I copied this library. Imagine, just imagine I'm copying that into my server. I copied this into my server. Consider this is my Linux machine which is there in EC2 or a private virtual computer. And there via putty you will access this command prompt. You will connect with your server IP address and password. So it will open putty like that. Just you need to run this command java -jar your application name RBUTech. So in server it is getting started. In that same server machine, imagine that is a public IP or else like a rock like software you have. Okay, in your server machine, just imagine you have a software like rock. Start that rock. Okay, http. You'll be getting one public URL, and again this public URL you may configure with your domain www dot. Let's say if I show you GoDaddy. Here I have multiple domains. RBUTech.in. Right here it will show all the DNS configurations. Under DNS we will keep it as a forward URL. I'll show you that if you guys really interested. Okay, I'll take a separate session how to create your own thing like this. RBUTech.in is my website. You can see you can keep your backend application or simple front-end application. So now this backend application is having URL, right? I can deploy that as well. Maybe under this domain also, right? I can create subdomain register students or students portal, something like this. I can put a subdomain. Under that subdomain I can give you this URL. That's how also it will go. For now, just visit to this, and I hope you already tried this, but yeah, one more time maybe. Yeah, also that is not pure HTML. That is a thymeleaf library. Explore more about thymeleaf. Okay, I'll share you maybe some links. Template engine, maybe they might have some scripting language or Java also they can use. If you go to Maven dependencies, you can see thymeleaf, thymeleaf jar file. So when I see jar, obviously I will imagine that it must have some Java code. Obviously it have a lot of Java code here. Yeah, lot of Java classes. Imagine like your tag library class we implement in servlets, right? Similar to it. Yeah. So obviously you guys able to submit the data, right? I see there are so many actions. So you would able to submit the data. See, I got so much data here. Is it created? Is it creating for you? Or you guys must be edited something with it, right? You guys not able to run? Okay, yeah. So this is how we will keep allow application into public. But what you need to observe is here, I don't have any special server software here. I just used my Java runtime, like a core Java application. I started this. And as I have built in Tomcat, it is supporting me to create this web application. So in your server also you need to have a simple Java software along with your database obviously. Okay. So if you take a virtual computer, Linux machine, there also you need to install your Java software and RKIL or MySQL. Those configurations you need to maintain as a properties, username, passwords in your application properties file before generating jar, and you have to construct your application. Just a minute, get ready, right? Yeah. So here maybe you can keep those properties and obviously it will work there. Okay. We'll do one small project and deploy it. Okay. The domain and subdomain also I'm showing you. Yeah. That's it for today. What I will recommend you